documenting Metamorphosis 2nd of July. I haven't uploaded the other videos from the 30th of June. My phone's actually been in flight mode since 24 hours before that. And I said to myself, I'm just not that I really made a rule or anything, but it's pretty much the vibe. I'm not turning the phone back onto the network until I sort this mess out. At least one big full load in this trailer that I got on loan. And I got a great opportunity to finally sort out all this shit. And most of it I don't know what the hell half it is. It used to be this process of ethical sorting out people's shit as a service with a team and repurpose and disaster relief and all that kind of stuff. So there's all this unseen and heavy gunky shit, and there's all this stuff around me sort of stuck to me, and there's all this fuzzy heavy shit, and it's not my shit. So yeah, it's like nearly 4 o'clock, and today I've just been like so extra pushing and motivated in myself. It's like, come on, man. It just seems to be, I go to do something, look everywhere in every area, and I'm already overwhelmed before I even get a chance to take in what the parameters of any task in this moment would be there, which is pretty simple. Just every area could be cleared out, really. I suppose I'm torn somewhat by this usable material that's good and what I need to use to sort out this bus that I'm living in. And so the point is, with the Nobbs Suzuki Praxis, there's obviously something that's in my way, in my cell, that is making it so that even just sweeping up the floor or putting some kind of lining on to finish that job, whatever, every tiny little task is just fucking monumental effort. And also I'm out of accord. It turns out that this kind of weather is what I think Lao Tzu is talking about, knowing when to take sustenance from the Great Mother. Got so much material and so much good material that I could really make this bus fandango. See, all this work needs to be done, and I've got materials, and I've got the tools and the fixings now. Actually, there's probably not really anything that I would need to go and buy from a hardware or anywhere, really, if I had everything completely sorted through and had an inventory of everything, knew where everything was, then I would be able to turn this bus into, I don't know, at least more than enough money to pay all my debts and responsibilities for the last few years that I've just been stuck in. I've got solar panels with batteries that don't hold charge, but the capacity to charge the power tools during the day and keep going. And I can work really well by myself. I was thinking about a big thing with all of this, what I'm saying is that I'm not beating myself up. Whereas normally I'd be beating myself up. That's what the whole Nobbs Suzuki Praxis thing is about. I'd be chastising myself and berating myself, speaking pretty harshly and trying to force myself to get something done, even though it seems like this is the condition to chill and take rest and a sustenance from the Great Mother. And that's sort of tied into the thing of, you know, motivated, right, I'm going to go and do this, and go and do it. And realize, oh no, hang on, my body won't let me do this. I'm in so much pain, or this terrible fucking headache, that's right, oh yeah. And so, round and round and round with that. And what I thought about making this particular video for was sort of seeing that, realizing that what this is about, all this consciously, like I can just go to an area and just throw it all away, pick it up, put it in this trailer and go. And I've done that many times for with stuff that's really good, some of it even better than what's here. The best stuff's being wasted. And it's kind of thing with stuff, like when you have nice stuff, then you mess around a lot for it. You spend a lot of time and energy dealing with it and preserving it and protecting it and looking after it and storing it. And yeah, it's too much. It's never meant to be like that. That's why I've got a bus, and albeit it's a double-decker bus, so it's a 2-bedroom apartment for my kids. But the point of that is that you can't have all this other stuff. So I'm finding this whole realizing that I'm like 6 times more sensitive than what I ever let on to the outside world was kind of because I didn't really know or believe, or I just didn't really know it, you know, like it's such a noisy world. But I feel really uneasy about some people in certain ways. Or I get it after the fact, actually. Suddenly I feel really overwhelmed. Then I get a real look at that particular vibration of energy. And see, from doing Vipassana kind of meditation just now, to just look at myself and move past anything I see, just observe, and just found how wound up I was with this sort of urgency. Oh, this place is absolute disaster zone, it has been. Every time I clean up, I do clean up and I remove stuff out of here, but I also make a hell of a mess. And I'm stuck in this in-between thing. What really matters now, what the whole point of doing this documenting Metamorphosis thing is, and what the difference is with the Nobbs Suzuki Praxis, and the whole thing that makes me the relevant person to be trying to get across all these different things that I think basically everyone has a bit of something that is this person and circumstance that you're witnessing. This it's an experiment essentially of how to be human, understanding humanity. And I think I've come to learn quite a lot. And I feel because there's this overwhelm still that I haven't learnt enough, or at all, then there's a feeling that's, so yeah, there's certainly something else to learn, and maybe it's just to change my beliefs or patterns or ideas. How I see money is the big thing, I think, or trusting that it will flow because something happened. I did something to myself, I know, with ideas, and it's with this shock and people speaking in soft language and not saying clearly, I suppose, or people not doing what they said. There's a lot of shock there that sort of holds. And that's what this shit is outside that I'm so urgently trying to go and clean up. It's not my shit. This was not even business. This was just helping close friends. And my soul is exhausted from caring so much about how everybody else is feeling and doing and vibrating and living and existing in the resonance that they are, in the hum of life that they are in that moment. It's exhausting to my soul, and it's exhausting to my time. It's like I look at go, if I'm in such a situation of having no work, so to speak, that pays me money, I would have all this time, yeah. So how come I don't have much time to myself? And I just take stock of the amount of time I give to other people to facilitate them being themselves and expressing and opening and feeling. I feel there's always something healing that comes from every interaction, both ways, for me and whoever I'm interacting with, no matter what the interaction is. But then it's like they go, oh wow, look at this, and I see this enlivening thing occur in people, and then become lighter, and their aura expand, and looks on their faces like this kind of just disappear. You can see it's been embedded there for 13 years, and suddenly, and then it's like they kind of shrug it off and leave it sitting on the chair that they were just sitting on the couch sometimes, and all kinds of variations in between. And I think that's at best with this kind of stuff. Otherwise, at worst is people then turn some idea about me into some attitude about me, basically. And I feel there's probably a lot of that actually in the static in between, sort of an insular noise, I suppose. Let's just attribute that to paving the way to hell with good intentions. Yeah, so I've been doing some creative stuff, and that has certainly been very powerful and helping. So that's a massive point of why I'm sitting here holding this bloody phone, looking at myself, because it's art, and so I should be doing more art with this kind of stuff. But to try and be a shining example of vulnerability, Like, I have no doubt that I'm a brilliant person, because I've been brilliant plenty of times before. And then through this time, it's been 10 years now, it's coming up 10 years, like now, since I bought this bus, and then broke down on the first day, and it seemed like it had all fallen into place. And yeah, so there's a big decision there, like, to have just not gone, this is not what I thought it was, but it was a dream. And yeah, but it wasn't even, I just recognized something. I don't think I would do this mistake again. Not with anything, and not with a woman either, or anyone. That's the trick, is I think that's the thing, like, I recognized all these things and have chosen not to fight. But then this thing about how much of that did I recognize enough at the time compared to hindsight. That's very relevant. Feeling. Yeah, so the whole plan with this was to do it with my friend. But then he hasn't really been available to do, or interested to do much. And so I kind of been stuck with it. He did come and help me, like, take shit to the dump in a trailer, which was just like, it's like a nice token gesture to me, really. That's why I, like, because when you have like a tip truck and you do like 3 trips to the dump a day, then a little box trailer on the back of a ute. I was more interested in design and this garden drainage thing that like there's all these sort of experiments that pretty much work, but then they just don't have the time to sort of do that little next bit to make it into something. And then I'm throwing away heaps of stuff. So many inventions. Like, so many inventions that worked, is what I'm saying. So many artistic, creative inventions that worked. All thrown away. And then I got this Indian sadhu who has been quite insane. It turns out, like, I'm really seeing the scale of this hoarding disorder. Like, it is absolutely, like, it's actually a lot worse than I thought, like, and I think a lot of people who are dealing with people's hoarding disorders would possibly not ever see just how bad it is, because if they're like this guy and they've got it somewhere else. Yeah, so I haven't seen him since I sorted that clusterfuck out. And this headache, this fuzziness, it's like sticks to me from the ideas that we have. And we think about the world and as sort of like an antenna transmitter, you can send out a signal, and so that's where things can stick to, the gravity, whatever it is, and then gravity accumulates, and then a delusion, eventually, whatever it is, just. So yeah, that's my biggest thing, is trying to clear that. But I'm trying to go and do all this stuff. And I spend a lot of time fasting. Like, I'll cook breakfast, but then I won't eat it till the next afternoon, quite often. And the body purges out all this stuff. And then I eat, and I feel good. And then I find that there's still this That's what I've been finding, that a lot of this is spiritual. A lot of it is mental, emotional, psychosomatic, and this is like the worst kind of thing, because I'm so really like pressuring myself. I've pressured myself so much to the point that really like the point of an arrow pressure, full on, to do something which will take me fucking 15 minutes to do. It's I just don't know like what that energy is stopping me, really. You know, like, you know, I'm having a cup of coffee. This is why I'm doing this, because I'm having a cup of coffee for 21 fucking minutes. Coffee will be cold, even though it's in a warm cup. I really wanted to get this done, and then it started raining. So I'm like, I don't give a fuck now. And now all the stuff's out, like it's wet. It's like, it's okay. So that's clear in my mind. That's all rubbish now. There's no sorting this or this or this. It's all fucking rubbish. So I see a real thing that is of value with the Nobbs Suzuki Praxis. Being the crediting thing, is that I have done some creative stuff, actually, by choice, like consciously. Okay, no, I'm going to do this now. So that's a thing that's in there. I credit that to the NSP, and then and just to having the mentors so accessible as well. You know, so it's been saying you got to do art, you got to do art, you got to do art, and then all of this, you know, seeing life as art. So I'm not chastising myself with this harshness, probably for the first time in my life. So I notice the lack of it and see how particularly harsh that is. Even though I'm being quite gentle with myself, it's still a healthy discipline, but it's still harsh. And it certainly could be quite harsh for certain other people if they happened to feel that on some level. And tied in with this sort of desperation kind of thing. So the more despair, then the more that harsh whipping, you know, like whipping self to fucking sort this problem out somehow, one way or the other. Yeah. Something with that. I think that just comes about, that insight there comes about now because of the spiritual interrogation. So if that more urgency and desperation and that need and that despair also is accompanied with a harshness, if that's felt by other people, and it's all felt by other people, then that is probably not something people want to be around. Certainly not get treatment from. It shows in the voice too, doesn't it? So, and see, like, I can look at my face, like, I've got this bloody headache. I've had this headache for a long time, like a long time. It's gone all the way through there. And what this is really about, now that I've said all that, I can just say the one single point that was the motivation for starting the video, is that at this crucial point of where I'm at in this whole situation, this ongoing story I'm stuck with, is the choices that I make are either aligned with my highest good and working together congruently and cooperatively in the most sophisticated, evolved way that they can, as I essentially make it up from nothing, because it's just like, where do you start? Well, you start fucking anywhere, and where you start, because everywhere's fucked, right? So wherever you start, you got to do it well. And so yeah, if you want to change the world, start by cleaning up your car, cleaning up your own place, cleaning up your room, and cleaning up your kitchen. And fucking do it properly. Otherwise, what's the point? And I feel like that is the thing that, whether that's the thing that's holding me back and is stopping me from just going out and doing it and making this pain suddenly manifest in my body, and this headache pound and all that, then that's still absolutely vital point. And that's a big difference between myself and everybody else. Except for this guy who was detailing the Porsche the other day I saw. That was a good job. And there is something with that as well, actually, in seeing that, because this is a thing from... See, this is a big thing about, like, I forget what the fuck drives me. This is a thing about what I'm doing with all of this, here, is preserving the shit that's worth preserving, and the artisan, and just the basic level of quality that was the way things were back then, because you can't get that quality anymore. Yeah. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, I don't know, see, I had this sentence, I've said all this other shit, is because I had this sentence, I thought something, but it's like to speak it, it's just not there. But it's a critical time now. What actions I take and how I go about starting to clear this. I've got to clear, like, whatever area that I start in, even. I've got to do that. Whatever little task I start, I have to do that to completion. And everything is going to take 20 minutes of fucking around at least before I can even start the task. Okay, that's how everything has become here. Okay, so that's a massive point of the preceding overwhelm. And then every time I feel like, okay, I'll get them up and I'll take them for a run now, then they seem to be like, So that's a big thing, take notice of that. But if you're not doing something that is working towards what you are trying to achieve, then you're either doing something that's art, which is just the point of art is for the expression, yeah, and that transmutation in that moment, or you're just doing something to experiment, which is all the art of life. The rest of it still fits in the art of life, but at what point does it become that you're doing something against yourself that's not going to achieve what you're trying to achieve? Especially if you try harder and harder. And at what point is there some switching where that becomes the general way that you're acting? And at what point of that measure is that when you become insane, or you're doing an insane thing, or acting insane? by putting all this energy in to something that is not going to achieve what you're trying to achieve. And for me, if what I'm trying to achieve is just, now it's just so lost, and it's incredible to look at the person that I was, that I used to think that, like, I saw this Porsche, I drove into this place the other day and I saw this Porsche, and I was like, I always thought I'd be driving one of them by now. So, I can just pick up everything that's here and take to the dump, and then come back, pick up everything here, take to the dump, pick up everything here, take to the steel recycler, pick up everything here, take to the recycler, you know, or just take it all to the dump. Might as well. What's the matter if you get like a few $100 to a few $1,000 for recycling, getting paid for it, just get rid of it all. It's the failure. It's failure. And then this bus, as it is, like, just let it all go, like, might as well walk away from all of it, kind of thing. And the whole thing be a failure. But then bring it down to the point of being an inconvenience if I die. Let's say I drop dead right now, I'm an inconvenience to somebody. So that's a driving force to at least bring it to some kind of harmony there, so that it's not a failure, it's not a bad story for life. That's a big thing. So let's say there's a base minimum. But then to achieve any dream or any idea of anything, like even putting the fucking drive shaft that I got 4 days later after this thing broke down, into actually just putting it in, which is like, you know, $400 or something to get it balanced and buy the universal joints required, and then 40 minutes to 4 hours to fucking have the thing running on the road. Even though just feeling the headache, feeling overwhelmed. Whatever it is, I've got to turn this into something and fold it all up. So that base minimum, then there needs to be some kind of transmutation and art. And like John was saying, I think it's probably in the minutiae, all the miniature little pieces, and bringing together something beautiful. Otherwise, if I just throw away all of this good stuff that is here for a reason, like, I let people store stuff here because if it's a problem, then it becomes my stuff, you know, I'm responsible for it. And then it's like, you know, there's some good stuff here for sorting this bus out, and other buses, a tiny home. And I really feel that I lost myself in a certain way. A lot of it is like, I pick up these tools, I look at them, and it's like, I know how to use all this stuff, but it's like it's like I've never known how to use it. It's like I pick up a guitar, and I hadn't picked up a guitar in weeks, and I picked up a guitar, and everything seemed like, oh, this is just so, it's been done so many times. What are you going to do that's expansive and developing from this, something else? So then I did. But that is a thing that's caused me a lot of problem when it comes to the practical world. You know, what am I going to do that's more expansive, more intricate, more complicated, this wasn't more dynamic, more sophisticated? But if I had this working with trailers, I'd be a fucking millionaire by now. And putting two other people into business, but then they decided not to be part of the business. It's that moments of this flow, you see, that lose everything, and then you still keep trying to do it. And that's the thing that I'm talking about, that leads you to this insanity kind of point, or even the stress. That's what it is. It's a stress. That's what I couldn't put out. It's a stress. I was seeing the oxidative stress and the plaque that forms in the nerve pathways and the vascular pathways of the brain. And then I just do that, and I was, yes, see? So for me, that's how it affects the stress. It makes these bundles of hiss, the axons and dendrites, that are supposed to have this gap in between them. They're locked on. And you know what they're locked on with? Some kind of adrenaline, cortisol, gunk residue of stress that has not been able to be resolved. And it's here on the gallbladder channel because of the direction and the decisions. You make all kinds of decisions, but if you don't have the money, then you can't do it. So what is a decision really that has your power? Because the money doesn't even exist. So a lot of, I'm just thinking of the scale that people make a decision, let's say for 3 weeks, and they work towards something. Make a decision with money because you have the money, even though the money doesn't exist, it's not worth anything. Now, it seems like such an insane transition to exchange these pieces of plastic for food. So I think that's it. I think I got out what I wanted to get out. 37 minutes of so I can't bear to put any more energy into wasting energy. And when I start to do something, then it's always been the art of living kind of thing for me. And I don't normally bite off more than I can chew. So when I get stuck with something, then I look and go, well, why is this stuck me? Because it's not like I've bitten off more than I can chew. And then in this case I have. And I've stripped that right back to the point of absolutely nothing. And then we find that there's, let's say, the 0 point, and then the opposite polarity of all of that energy I've just stripped back through. Matter, antimatter, and the 0 in between. And that is the kind of driving energy that makes us have this look on our faces. And that look on our face goes deep through our whole head, through our cranial bones, through the nerves in our brains. And that's what this is about, is like this headache is going from like in here straight through on that angle to like back here, and then there, in there, about that far inward, in my head. And I can feel that. And it's a plaque and a vasodilation, and then there's a tension that forms from the dilation versus constriction, and that constriction there versus dilation and the equalization of that is a constant pressure stress. It's inflammation, basically. And it's been there a long time. It's been there a long time. And it's from getting so stressed about other people and having these these experiences recently that's really shown me. The other thing is, I think that life is like this. As soon as you have a good experience and go, yeah, like training was fantastic and all, like life is good and come to peace and what beautiful, and just, yeah, really embodied that comprehensively. Great, wake up the next morning, all right, let's go, gang, and fuck. Come on, let's roll, come on, go. And I am also acknowledge I'm really sure this kind of weather, regardless of what the weather forecast was, this weather's occurred now because solar activity that caused that aurora a few days ago, and now this is the weather that's come from that. And this water suspended above our heads, much of it is new water to the planet. There's a lot of radiation that is updating us and upgrading us that we need to mutate to, adjust to, so that we evolve and survive. And I'm still forcing myself through actually a second cup of coffee, which I didn't do yesterday. There's pressure behind my eyes, so I still have this headache that I'm trying to basically forget that I have and then go and soldier on doing this stuff. So art is the big thing. I've written a song. I caught up on this other writing a bit, but I got kind of real still and clear. I've been focused very affectionately with the dogs, which has been great. I mean, I have done quite a bit with music as well. I've done a fair bit in my mind of just deciding, like, a lot of stuff therefore does not matter anywhere near as much to me or have precedence in my mind, because the people that I care about care on that point that they don't care, so it's just as unsustainable direction of energy. Nothing is a waste, but yeah, sometimes it's pretty close to that. If you see something as a waste of energy, then that's where it is. It's a waste of energy. But if you see that as learning experience, then you take whatever it is, it's recycling, you accumulate that power back if you lost it. Otherwise, you don't lose it. So yes, this is what this is about. Awareness. Awareness of every tiny little thing that is why it's so hard to sweep the floor suddenly. Why brushing the teeth suddenly means that you can get up and get going for the day. Or why doing the dishes that you couldn't do for 3 days suddenly allows you to make that phone call that you don't know why you didn't make. Or Yeah, so there's something else. I just forgot the big thing I was going to say with that, because there's something else that drew me into it, that pulls me away. Something that pulls me away. And that's the thing of the delusion. I could say that I'm not willing to go and make the same mistakes again. And I'm not willing to allow this to be a failure, because that will keep the plaque that carries on in the brain. It's like the plaque from the failure in the brain, stress in the brain from the failure, then the only thing that is going to turn that around naturally is success. But not other successes in the future. They won't be able to touch that, even if they're the biggest successes of all of mankind. They won't be able to touch the oxidative stress and the wiring and the bundles of His and the nerves, axons and dendrites, and all the plexuses that are the massive accumulations of them, like through the neural superhighways, locked in there, you know, making this all be tight here, you know, and this light sensitivity kind of thing. And the thing is, what Seafood would say, the only time you ever fail is when you don't even try. And the point is with this, I haven't even tried half the fucking stuff here for what I want to do with the bus. I never got to try it. I haven't even tried to refit it and refurbish it. This is all just pulled stuff out. I haven't even tried to put anything in, really, you know. So you see, it's like a double failure, double oxidative stress kind of thing. So extra careful, extra prudent, extra exhausted. But then there's a thing about awareness. So hopefully, where I'm so depleted and broken and exhausted, so I can't see a way. Like, it's just so much fucking effort to get through. So if I can change my mind about that, then it's not like that. But then it kind of is that way. And this is a physical manifestation of me caring about other people's shit that they don't care about. Coming to realize that I am more sensitive to that than I realized. And I'd say I probably became more sensitive to it, or maybe I always was and didn't realize, but I'd say I probably became more sensitive by choosing a certain kind of approach, which is also, I'd say, that's the kind of thing that allows people to think I'm a bit manic or something like that, you know. Like, I watch myself, I let myself sort of fly like a kite that's tethered, you know, so I can express and let myself go within certain limits. And then the restraint is the thing that's been added with that now, I notice. Yeah, I'm just thinking about like what happened with the neighbours and stuff here. I don't really realise, but don't really know. I can't work out a lot of stuff. But just realising now, I'm thinking, as I was about to finish, just thinking, you know, like there's adding restraint, for instance, is just being a bit quieter. So instead of like trying to work out what it was, what particular noise it was that was disturbing, how about just like most of that noise or all of the noise? Because they only make one kind of noise, for instance, you know. That industry and their hours and their particular demeanour and you know, the reserved conservative thing is what I'm getting at, is me putting restraint over myself. As I notice if I allow that restraint to be reduced or to be turned off, then I'm suddenly a lot louder, a lot more raw, a lot more intense. I suppose I didn't really have control of that at all until recently. Whatever I had like 8 months ago is absolutely negligible to what kind of restraint I might have on my mind and on my spirit, on my emotional body, on my energy field. You know, like regardless how I might be feeling, the restraint that I might have even just for not causing a disturbance of noise, for instance, this is a really real thing, so this is actually a good thing to follow on. Like it's certain noises and certain barking and stuff, it's fine, but then other noises there's very different. You know, they might not be as loud, for instance, but the intensity of them is more of a disturbance. So really aware of that. And I think there's a lot of things that I was looking for in trying to understand other people and what went wrong in relationships and dynamics, so that they can naturally, instantly be harmonized and transformed as they are addressed. Like, I think when I address something, by the time I'm halfway through addressing it, it's already been transformed, kind of thing, you know, generally. But then with some of these answers, maybe they're never there to be found. Because I'm like, what particular noise was it that was a disturbance to you out of all of these noises? Because a lot of them are just like yours, aren't they? Or, you know, but it's not. It's just the whole intensity and the out there kind of thing. Like, you never know what I might say next, kind of thing. Yeah, something about that. Even though I was caring about something that they cared about, then yeah, I'm not even going to go into that. That point is relevant because there was stuff that happened in sequences that sort of lead to circumstances being the way they are, and everything that preceded that was me looking after these people like they were my own family, and like they had less than me as well, and they were in need, which just seemed to be a default thing, me just being so generous. But I was seeing that maybe there was whatever it was that made me not fit. Like maybe there were things that made me just not fit for them, so they needed to just not have that. Anyway, I've got to not make the same fucking mistakes. I've got to clean this shit up. I've got to get it to the dump. Don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it artistically.